Good evening, Cryptid fans. We're back. And now that we've got Jeffrey all done swallowing a whole cow for dinner here, we finally decided to go live here. So actually, it was really David Blaylock's fault, but that's okay. Brother Blaylock.
It always
That's fine.
is. It
And he
should,
was
at least
eating
it
as
should
well.
be.
Yeah. But it's only 12 after 5 in Blaylock land. So, but anyway, we've got a hell of a show going here. Yeah, I use the H word every now and then, Brian. But just so you know, we got Brian Barber here with us. I again, I've been new to a lot of people that's in the subject, and I watched a lot of Brian's stuff yesterday on D.A. Roberts. By the way, buy D.A.'s books, right, Jeff? Buy
Yeah, we
D.A.'s
don't we
books.
don't want him on OnlyFans.
Now we don't want Hi, dog. Man, the chat is rolling. We appreciate everybody being here, but man, I could not believe some of the stuff that I was hearing from Brian. And Michigan sounds squatchy, man. And I cannot wait to just turn everything over to Brian and just let him have at it. And I'm not going to tell anybody to like, subscribe, and share, but you're welcome to if you'd like. It's free, and we'd appreciate it. Hit that heart somewhere down in there. Man, chat's flying, guys. Wow. I look over, it's like 70 something, and it's up to over 110. And man, it is
Good
flying
Lord.
as far as messages. But we say hi to everybody. We appreciate it. And if you haven't, I'm sure most people have seen Brian Barber. Has also been on Miss V's show. Uh, and check out Miss V. Muddy Creek. What is it?
Muddy Creek Podcast now.
Muddy Creek Podcast. And of course, D.A. Roberts, Ex Machina. Both excellent shows, excellent hosts, excellent question askers. A lot to learn from them people. So, but anyway, Brian, man, we appreciate you being on here. And
my pleasure.
yeah, it's our pleasure. Believe me, we're here to learn, listen, and had a big post on Facebook today, David. Right? And
Yes.
that'd be Porch, and it gave me the opportunity to say just what this show's for. We're not here to tell anybody what's what. We're here to listen and learn. And man, we've had some awesome guests. There's more awesome guests coming on. Hopefully, some local people there, Jeff.
We're trying. It's not.
We're trying. We got a
like
lot of local
team.
stories, but man, it's hard to get people to come on. We tell them we can do a pre-record, or we can do it with the camera shut off, whatever you want to do, or do both.
I need to work on that Freedom of Information Act stuff. See if that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Brian's familiar with that. So
yeah, Brian and I have talked about that before.
Yeah.
You found a lot with that, didn't you, Brian?
Yeah, I got quite a bit from Benzie, not so much from Grand Traverse County yet, but Benzie was, I had to narrow my wording down because there was so much that popped up.
Awesome.
So, according to the BFRO, there's supposed to only be, I think it's a little over 200 sightings in Michigan, and I had almost that in Benzie County alone.
And that's next to you, right?
Yeah. Yep. I live in Grand Traverse County. Benzie's just, I'm pretty close to the county line, so 10 minutes south of me.
Okay.
So, home of the infamous, well, partial of it, Manistee National Forest with the whole Dogman thing, and
okay,
it's a hot spot.
Hi, Scott B. Absolutely, yeah. I can't wait to cut you loose here, man. Just let you.
Yeah.
Oh man, I do better with questions.
Tell us all about it.
Feel free to ask.
Yeah, I'll definitely. There'll be questions. By all means, in chat. Yeah, by all means, in chat, put your questions in capital letters, and I will definitely keep an eye on that a little better than I have been. So, first off, David Blaylock, how are you, buddy?
I am doing great, you guys.
Okay.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. Michigan, man. Michigan. That's cool.
I know. My niece lives there.
Okay. And he's not quite in UP, right?
No, I'm close, but not quite,
Yeah.
And it's funny because you guys talk about having trouble with vocals talking. Same thing with Michigan people who live in the lower peninsula and upper peninsula. There's definitely a blockade. They even call us in the UP, if you live below the bridge, you're a troll. So
yeah, I heard that on the other show. That was comical.
Yeah, Jerry and I were talking about that today.
Yeah, that's comical.
So I guess I'm literally a troll, and I don't even get mean in chat.
We see Jeffy's doing all right. He's got a fresh new cigar lit up. So, Brian, we're just gonna just introduce yourself and uh, and what got you started in the subject. I mean, just kind of give us an idea what got you, what kicked it all off for you.
Unlike a lot of people, I pretty much grew up believing in Bigfoot because my grandma had a place in Lake Ann, which is Benzie County, and there was a section of woods that we were just told not to walk in because there was Bigfoot out there. And even when we would take our walks with grandma and everything, you could walk down the path next to it, but if you went to take, it'd be a right-hand turn down a 2-track. As soon as you cross that line, it was just like no birds, no squirrels, no sounds. The hair on the neck went up. The dog wouldn't even go back there. So it was just always one of those things that, you heard about it. Looking back, it almost seemed like, the boogeyman will get you if you don't do your homework or something. But when In Search of came out with their episode on that showed the Patterson Gimlin film, I pointed at the TV and looked at my dad and I'm like, is that what's at grandma's? Is that what's at grandma's? And he's like, well, not that one, but yeah, that's what's out there. So, and they have a couple documented reports that happened out there from instances with my grandma and my grandpa. My grandpa was a dispatcher. I don't know why I couldn't think of that, for Benzie County Sheriff's Department.
Ooh.
And I think it was 73 or 74. One night, it was one of those, lightning storms where you don't get the rain, but you get the lightning going off. And all of a sudden, the dog ran under her bed, and she couldn't figure out what was going on. And her bed faced the bedroom window. And a flash went off, and she saw a shadow fill the whole window. So she freaked out and grabbed the shotgun and called my grandpa. And he brought the whole cavalry with him, and they looked until morning. And in the morning, they found 17-inch footprints outside the window that led off into the woods that they could follow. So they actually cast it. The county police were there. Newspaper was there. State police were there. And my uncle still got the cast, but he lives in Japan, so I can't, I'm sure in shipping that would be shattered in a heartbeat. But
Yeah.
So I mean, it was actually documented what happened out there. And to this day, it's funny because literally 2 days ago, I got permission from the new landowner that as long as I keep my mouth shut,
Oh, really?
what's going on, I can go back out there. I can't put any trail cams out, which I don't do it anyway, but he's gonna.
Is there still activity there?
Oh yeah. I've seen eye shine twice in the last 3 years when I'll go by at night, because as soon as if you're on the road, there's a little gully and then it's just straight pine trees that are 15 or 20 feet tall compared to the when we used to snowmobile over them. And every once in a while I can go by and stop and do a couple claps and you get a couple blinks out of the woods. So it's still, and the airport down the road, a friend of my mom, friends of her mom, lives right across the road from the airport down there. If you call it an airport, it's a grass runway with a hangar. And she was complaining about kids partying and banging out trees and screaming. And so I didn't have the heart to tell her it's probably not kids behind that airport because there's no access back there. But
Yeah, right.
that's where the Eagle Cam footage came from, if you guys know about that. That's not too far down the road. Where that Eagle Cam showed, and it looked like a Bigfoot hopping around underneath the eagle's nest. That's only like 5 miles.
Oh, yeah, that Eagle Cam. I remember that.
I don't remember that.
Yep, that was only about 5 miles from there.
When was that? Do you remember, Brian? Because I remember seeing that.
Some people are saying it's a Bigfoot. Some people are saying it's a hunter acting goofy, dressed it all.
Now, how long ago was that? Do you remember?
Oh, man. 10 years ago?
What it was, Jerry, is one of those, they put cameras on eagle nests?
Yeah.
They caught one in the background, something in the background walking underneath of the nesting tree.
And it was like jumping to the log and walking, and it would jump off. And
We lost David.
uh-oh, scared David.
Poor David.
David's looking for Eagle Cam footage.
He'll be back. Wow,
So,
that's
and
interesting.
so that got me interested in it. And then my first sighting was in '87 along that same road, only a couple miles from my grandma's house. And, that was when my interest really took hold, was because to see something. I mean, I was coming around the corner. It was 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. But it was one of those, nice bright moon nights where modern cars, you can't do it, but old cars, you could turn the lights off and drive down the road thinking you're cool because you could see everything. But as I came around the corner, it looked like a big bag of garbage or something laying on against
It's
the
not
guardrail.
working, Bab.
Where's he going?
He'll be back. They're trying to get straightened out with the computer there. Sometimes he's on without any problems, and then there's just times it just can't stay on. It's okay. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty cool. I never. I mean, I know every state has its definite some good possibilities, but Michigan just never touched. Obviously the upper peninsula.
Yeah.
I'm sure is quite a vast area of wilderness for them things to. I mean, look what they go through here. I know they're here, Jeff.
Yeah.
We don't have the open land that they do in the UP, I'm sure, like they do.
Now,
that's crazy wild, man.
I mean, we
Yeah.
don't really have that until we get like down, or up on the western section of the state.
Yeah,
really.
western out in the mountains. Yeah,
And that's where we get the least reports, Brian.
fewer people,
Yeah, but guess where the most reports are?
right here, right here in the county.
Oh,
This county.
that's
Yeah.
the place to be. That's like Benzie. Somebody sent me an old paper article that showed a picture of saying they supersized Bigfoot in Benzie County because they sent in a 15-inch track from Wexford and then a 19-inch track from Benzie. So they made the newspaper picture.
You see
You've never seen any of the tracks from this county? Even though back in the 70s or early 80s, my grandfather had one of the local well-known researchers at the time. He doesn't talk about it anymore, so that he's still alive, but he doesn't talk about it. And he's got casts from here at the farm. And I would love to somehow see if I could get a hold of the damn cast if he still has it. But my grandfather never really put too much interest in it. So even though I think there was a lot more going on here than he ever talked about. So,
Well, just like
Craig's got you figured out.
that's right. I'm getting ready for a bodybuilding show with some college. You might have some vitamins I need.
There you go. There's some people here just that are Michigan residents here. This one is find it here.
Well, see, in Benzie, they had.
This
I
by
don't know
Benzie. Yeah.
if
this
I
person-
mentioned, Benzie County Sheriff saw one.
Oh,
The
really?
sheriff at the time, who was a very popular guy, Zane Gray, got voted in by a landslide, got reelected by a landslide, but then he saw Bigfoot, reported it. Next election, his opponents used that to say he was crazy, he was incompetent, and he got slaughtered in the election. That was back in the late 80s.
Okay.
So, it's only become recent. People are, a little more willing to talk.
Yeah, we have a guy here, or had. He's still around, but he doesn't do anything with the subject anymore. Was a school teacher here in the county, and I've reached out to him, and I've not heard back from him for a few years now. But I went to a seminar he did here at a local school, and I don't know. That's back in the '70s. But man, he has some cool stuff. He had plaster prints and casts. I mean, and audio that would just blow your mind. The audio was crazy, man.
Oh, the audio's the stuff I love the most.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, I've been lucky enough to catch some, but
I
nothing.
I was
wish I
gonna
had
ask
more
you.
time to do the audio around here.
I was going to ask you, do you see a lot of tree structures or anything like that,
Yeah.
or audio, or you hear a
Yeah,
lot
I've
of
got
stuff?
some audio that um, there's a member of the gym, and she's a writer for a bunch of the ammo magazines and travels the world for promotions for them and stuff. And I
Yeah.
said, hey, and a very avid hunter. She shot some weird deer over in Africa where the horns are almost as tall as she is, and
Probably an impala or a kudu or something like that.
I forget what they call it, but it's got the spiral.
Yeah, it's probably a kudu.
Kudu,
There you
yeah.
go. And
Elaine Schatz, she's a local here in the county too. Has had some experience.
Yeah, she
And,
saw one back in the 80s.
oh, she heard my audio.
Down in a very developed area now, but
And she's talking about the guy I was talking about. She was a school teacher here.
yeah.
And she was in his heard the audio from him in the biology class. Then that's pretty cool. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
I got a couple different ones. The ones that scared me the most was when I kept hearing this, what I thought was a Bigfoot mimicking a bird. So I got my iPhone and I'm recording it. And then I can't even listen to the audio. No, I can't tell if it's growling or heavy breathing, like it's psyching itself up for a fight. But it goes on for a little over 1:32, and it finally gives a final roar. It's like, okay, I'm out. That's it.
Yeah, no doubt.
I got to go for you, Brian. You ever heard one do a blue heron?
That's what I thought one was doing because but I thought it was a sandhill crane. I found out, but I mean, it sounded like
I've
a
heard the blue
800-pound
heron here, and we've got blue herons, but there were 3 of them at 4 o'clock in the morning, surrounding me on 3 sides by the barn.
And they sound a lot
I've never
bigger.
seen 3 herons at the same time, so.
Can you see chat? Well, no. Yeah, are you near New Buffalo?
Oh no, I'm way up from there. That's way south from me. I mean, if you're looking at Michigan, you got the Pinky. Frankfort would be right where the Pinky bends. If you go just over to the right a little bit, that's where I'm at.
Okay. Yep. Wow. Do you go up the Upper Peninsula a lot and look over where exactly do you stay pretty close then, nearby where you're at?
Yeah, I only drive 40 minutes to where I go.
Okay.
So
that's
there
about
is a
how
new
far
place.
it is from here to the one place I like to go check out when I get a chance. Everything else is we got a lot of closer spots, but that peninsula area we told you about earlier when we were backstage,
Mm-hmm.
I got to get in there more because it's pretty easy drive, and I've got a lot more gear now to take with me. So
yeah, that's where I run into trouble because to get to the really good spot, it's a seasonal road. So now that I don't have my Dodge Ram anymore, it's a little more difficult to get back there.
I bet.
No,
2012 Malibu doesn't go like a Dodge Ram.
no, it does not. I've got an old Silverado and a couple of Dakotas, and only one of them I would trust to take back into the one place. I tried to wreck it last week in a snowdrift, but
I wouldn't know what hand to hold up. My camera's inverted. But I wouldn't want to get it wrong.
So, Brian,
Anyway.
let's talk about some of some of your, most memorable ones going out?
The top one would be where a friend and I went out during the winter, and it was before the seasonal road part. This was the area is kind of split up into two spots. There's one where I'll go anytime and it doesn't bother me too much. And then the other part of the area, it's like as soon as dusk starts to hit, the whole atmosphere changes, and it's like I know I shouldn't be there, so I leave. And when we were driving up, we just took a ride. She needed a brain break. She had stage 4 cancer.
Yeah, I
So
remember this
it's
one.
like, yeah, take a ride. And I could, as we were going up the road, I could see deer tracks coming down one side of the hill, and then the road's a sheet of ice, but then the deer tracks go up the other side. And next to the deer tracks were two what looked like prints from the truck. I'm like, what the heck? So I took a couple pictures and asked her, I said, I think I know it made that. Let's go. And she's like, yeah, all right. So we go lights out, and the snow's like up to my knees. And we're trudging through the snow, and you can hear, sticks break and stuff. And it's like, it's probably those deer that we saw. I didn't see the deer, but saw the tracks. And then we get over the top of the hill and a few yards in, and all of a sudden we hear snap. And both of us stopped dead in our tracks. And she's like, what the, F is that? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, turn on your flashlight. So when I turn on the flashlight, maybe 20 feet, 15, 20 feet, is a great big reddish brown hairy guy. As soon as that light hit, it brings up its left arm to cover its face. Because it was a 2500 bloom flashlight. So I hit him in the face with it, and it's like, oh, crap. And you could see the hair hanging down off the arm, probably 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah.
And I instantly turned around and put my truck keys in her hand, and I'm like, go. If I'm not behind you in 30 seconds, you go. And then it roared. I mean, it wasn't a howl or whoop. It was just an angry, like, the heck? And I went to see Boston in concert, and they had great sound, and every note on the guitar string you could feel in your pant legs. That was even worse.
Yeah.
And
How
so,
far do you think that was? How far apart were you from it? You think
15, 20 feet, maybe.
Oh
Wasn't-
my goodness!
Yeah, it was close.
Up close and personal.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
I would have
Yeah,
hated to.
you pissed him off when you turned that thing off.
Oh yeah, and I got him right in the face. It was like,
Yep.
I knew my days were numbered at that point, because if you think about it, I probably literally walked into his living room. He's having dinner with the wife and kids, and I turned a big flashlight on his face.
Yeah.
But so, she's walking. She's not walking fast enough for my taste, so I'm kind of picking her up and pushing her through the snow. And you can hear whatever it is walking behind us. It wasn't running. It wasn't trying to get me, but
He
we
was
get to the
making
truck.
sure you got the message.
Yeah, he was making sure and that we were leaving. So we open the door and I push her in the truck. And as soon as I push her in, as soon as my feet hit that ice, I slide under that Dodge Ram. And so I'm trying to scramble my way out. And then my truck starts. I'm like, holy crap, she's serious. What's going to happen first? Am I going to get ran over? Or am I going to get beat up? So we get in the truck and back up, and nobody said anything for a little bit. And I said, you know what? I need a drink. And she's like, no, we got to stop someplace first. And I'm like, for what? And when it roared, if I hadn't gone to the bathroom earlier, I probably would have too. But she had wet her pants at that point. So literally, we went to Shell. She had snow pants on, so she just put them in a plastic bag. Went to put. I'm like, no, not my truck, in the back. So, and the next day we went back, and I said, nobody's going to believe this. So where the tracks were, you can see a cable box. So I did a video of me trying to recreate those tracks. And I think it took me 11 steps to recreate the tube. And I was kicking snow and everything, you know, while those tracks were just perfect.
Huh.
So, you know, the other one, I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff that happened out there.
Tell us all about it, man.
Well, a friend and I went to a new place that we heard, and I had heard rumors before about, you know, possible Bigfoot down in Manistee County and along the Manistee River. I was working at my mom's bar for her, and a guy came in, and man, he started pounding them, which was normal for him anyway. But it seems like he was going through them a little faster. So I asked him, you know, what's going on? The white bat again? He said, no. He said, you know, written last night, and, you know, sitting in there, and all of a sudden I hear the pig squealing. So I go outside, and there's a blank Bigfoot. He's got a pig under each arm stepping over my fence. He says, so I grab my gun, not like it's a bird shot, but I shoot it, and I'm doing, drop the pigs. You can have the wife, but drop the pigs. I thought, okay, he's just drunk. But fast forward and 15 years later, and we hear about a guy and his buddy who are out night fishing on a little island. They're in the boat, but there's a little island right in the middle of by Tippy Dam. And they're midnight fishing. And all of a sudden they hear splash, so they think it's a fish. They hear another splash, but it's closer, another fish. And then there's a boom with a rock in the boat. And then something screams at them from the shore. So they take off, and it was about a week later. My friend's like, he came up, he drove about 4 hours to come up, and we went out there. And I am not one to do the Ohio Hollow. After my experience out there with the blast in the Ohio Hollow, I won't do it anymore. You know, I call blasted 3 times, and next thing I knew, there was a log being thrown at my truck that I thought blew my window out. So, and it had to cross the parking lot and come through the trees to hit my truck. So it was quite the thing. Well, my friend gets out. First thing he does is an Ohio, and I just want to kick him in the jewels. And what are you doing? And we start walking, and we hear knock. And so, and this was after we'd found a couple tree structures.
I don't have the balls to try to play that around here because I feel like
it's like Ron said, you don't know what they're saying, you know. It could be your wife's a pig and your kid's mine. You don't know what for sure what you're saying to them. Yeah. So whenever I go, I would just clap now. You know, and if they're in a good mood, sometimes they'll knock or clap back. But that day we were in a totally new area. And so he knocks and we get a knock back. Knocks again, another knock. This is rhythmic. And I'm thinking, okay, it's a woodpecker, you know. And then next thing he does is, oh crap, there's babies. I'm like, what are you talking about? And we were on top of a ridge by the dam, and down in the valley there was a weird thing. It looked like a big triangle from a log cabin, but in a triangle shape, how the logs are stacked lengthwise. But it was open on one end. He kept seeing brown flashes down there. And he's like, they're baby squatches. And then it's like, oh, crap. You know, because then, you know, mom and dad aren't far behind. And we start to leave. And you hear one knock way off, a whoop, and then a whistle from 3 different directions. And I'm like, okay, we need to go now. And we got maybe 10 feet, and they were visible at about 40 yards. You could see, I saw 3. He said he saw 5. But there was a big brown one, a black one, and then I only saw the outline of a shorter brown one. But, you know, took a few pictures, and I got a real good one of the brown one. He's got his arm cocked on the tree like this, and he's looking around like this. And there's no doubt you can, you know, see the crest, brow ridge, part of the face.
Yeah.
And I'm at that point texting my girlfriend saying, this is where I'm at. If you don't hear from me in 20 minutes, you know, send somebody. because we knew it was serious. And then, so we start walking out and we're apologizing as we're leaving, sorry, we didn't know they were babies. And they got within 30 yards, and then that's where they stayed till we got back to our cars. And he decides to call a friend. So I'm standing there waiting for him. And then all of a sudden you start hearing tree breaks and whistles. They were sitting just inside the tree line waiting for us to leave. We're not going to go away until we were gone.
So you were already at the truck then?
Yeah, we were standing right there, and I had turned off my recorder at that point. I got everything else on the recorder, with a whole lot of curse words and everything else with it. But I had shut the recorder off.
I think I'd have some cuss words going too.
Oh, I was so mad at him for doing that Ohio howl first off the bat. It was like, I think that could have went so different if he hadn't have done that.
Yeah.
And luckily there's pictures. Luckily there's some audio. I went back, I think it was 2 weeks later, by myself, just apologizing left and right as I was walking and stuff, and seeing how many more tree structures I could find, because there were big ones. I mean, the trees that were crossed were, huggable. And one's just bent with the bark stripped, and the other one's jammed in the ground on one end, sticking out the other. So
You see that a lot?
I see a lot of X's.
Okay.
Some TPs, yep. What was weird was, because I got all kinds of pictures. One place where I found out I shouldn't have been, I basically got lost. I got turned around, and I went down into this valley, and this is where I normally go. And as I'm walking, it's literally trees twisted like candy canes, bent over the trail, and then anchored down on the one end. And there's like 7, 8, or 8 of them making like a corridor. And I'm like, okay. So I started walking down it, and that was when I heard footsteps parallel behind me. And they were, it was intentional to have me hear them. So that was pretty unnerving too. I got a selfie of one. Kind of funny there, because I knew I was being followed, but every time I turned, I couldn't see it. Like, what the heck? So I took a selfie over my shoulder, and you can see the tree, and then you can see a pretty dark human shape standing kind of with his head and shoulders turned looking at me. So that was one of the first pictures that I got out there.
That's crazy.
And then the whole peanut butter thing that I got in trouble for.
Yeah, what was the deal with that? I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, DNR got involved in the whole 9 yards. Well, I did it for almost 3 years at 9 jars a week.
Wow.
So, but we were getting really cool results with it, because, I mean, we'd find the jars, and the jars that have, be perfectly clean, like this clean, lid screwed back on. Sometimes the one time that, I don't know where I put it now, but it had the tinfoil perfectly peeled off. I mean, there wasn't anything even on the rim, and it was rolled up real tight like a Cheech and Chong toy, and then put in the jar with the lid back on it.
Wow.
And it had only been out there a couple days.
Wow.
Because what I would do is mark the top of the jar and mark the bottom of the jar. And then that way I can tell which one came from where, and if it's the same lid for that jar or something. So, we talked backstage about me trying to cast something. Well, that night I had stuck a jar of peanut butter in the tree. That, and of course I screwed it up because it soaked right into the ground. But then I hear noise behind me, and I go back, and the jar of peanut butter's already gone. So I had the funniest one was when I went out and I was putting peanut butter out, and instead of clapping, I decided to jingle my keys. So I rattled my keys real hard, and all of a sudden I hear crash, 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 and I'm only 30 or 40 yards from my truck, so I run out to my truck just in time to see a reddish brown big set of head and shoulders jump over the bluff. I'm like, holy crap, what the hell? You know, I think it's the same one. I call him Big Red. I think I've seen him 3 times out there. And I'm looking around and find a couple tracks around my truck. I'm like, oh, this is great. And I'm looking, and it's like, where's my pop? I had an A&W cream soda that I had left on my bumper.
Oh, wow.
And I can't find that pop anywhere. It's like,
Yeah.
that son of a gun took my pop. You know?
Bigfoot stealing A&W cream soda.
You know, so
That's
then,
crazy.
you know, you try repeating that, and then my Mountain Dew bottle would get moved around.
Yeah.
You know, I'd walk and intentionally leave it at a peanut butter thing, come back and be gone, and then maybe it's at the next peanut butter. So it told me how close they can get and without you ever knowing it.
Yeah.
Which in itself is pretty unnerving if you think about something. I mean, the encounter I mentioned earlier with the 2 tracks, I went back and measured those tracks, and they were 23 inches. And there were toes in the bottom.
Holy smokes.
And I sent the pictures to a friend
How many
that I
inches?
had taken.
23.
Yeah, 23.
Shit.
And that's not the first time I found them. I found them
I
during
thought
the
I was
summer.
imagining things when I heard that.
Yeah, there's a big boy running around out there. And
Wow.
you know, Bob Daigle does photography, used to work for military and got in it to,
I've never heard of him.
he specializes in the photos and trying to, you know, debunk them.
Oh.
Or if they're legit or altered. Anyway, so a friend of mine sent them to him, and I figured I was going to get ripped apart on this. I know some stuff. And he says, well, you got 2 on the left and 1 on the right. And by looking at the picture compared to the trees around it, it was between 11 and 12 feet. So we walked right in between them.
Wow.
And I have found a glyph. I found 2.
Okay.
2 so far. One was huge. It took up the whole path. One great big asterisk with but everything was connected like a spider web.
See, I've never paid attention to those, but I'm pretty sure I've seen them before. I just thought they were just, you know, sticks on the ground.
Yeah, I never paid attention either, but this one was so. I mean, I've missed more tracks than I found. Way more. I was so proud of myself because I found what I thought was a baby print that I sent the picture to a friend who's a tracker up in the UP. And he's like, yeah, man, that's a good find. That's a great baby print because it was only like 6 inches. It was tiny. And I got my size 15 next to it. And he goes, well, what about the big track? I'm like, big track? And he's like, yeah, the big track. So he circles it. And I've got my heel in the heel of the big track. And about 6 inches above my foot, you can see all 5 toes.
Oh, wow.
Never saw it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like, oh, some researcher you are.
Of course.
You know, so I know
Brian,
him. There's,
did I send you the one I took out in Western Maryland where I had my foot next to the one, didn't I?
I don't remember.
I'll send it to you again. But
Yeah.
I wear an 11, and this is the only tracking I've ever found, and I've never found any here, even though most of the stuff that's happened to me has been right here. And that one was probably at least 16. And it was on a ridge overlooking our campsite.
Oh, no
you
kidding.
look right down on top of where we were camping.
Oh,
And we were 2 miles off the trail, at least. back in there for 3 or 4 days turkey hunting. And yeah, I found a whole trackway up through there. But of course, got all these wonderful solar battery chargers with me. Nothing could hold a charge long enough to, get pictures without the phone dying. So,
oh yeah,
stuff I did have,
none of that. Bigfoot and electronics don't go well together.
no. And I wasn't necessarily there for Bigfooting, so I wasn't carrying anything to do a whole lot of research with. So, and that was all this spring, right after we started doing this.
Yep.
It's the tech's nice, but at the same time, sometimes it's frustrating. I've had recorders where I'll put 2 out and one to try to verify the other. And there's been times where one's recorded all night, but the other one got shut off after 20 minutes. So I had that happen when I put a recorder out, and then I was taping one to a road sign that was close by. And this is 11:30 at night. And you can hear on the recorder, you can hear me taping, all of a sudden you hear bang, rock hits the sign. And you can hear me curse and say, oh, a rock. And then bang, another rock. It was like, and I let that one got everything from that night, which was a bunch of, you can hear something in the woods, literally pounding on something, just the tiniest bit of that samurai chatter. And then like one must have hit his thumb or something, because you hear, rah, 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 rah. And then you hear him go back to working. This goes on for like 2 hours.
Wow.
And there's an hour of kind of silence, and then you can hear footsteps, and then something scratched the microphone. So, and there were tracks coming down to it. Those were 23. I put my 23-inch wiper blade next to them. And they were.
Man, that's a big boy. Holy
That
moly.
is huge.
Wow. Brian or Robert's asking if you have any activity on your current residence, or are you concerned if they will follow you home?
I live in a mobile home park, so I haven't had anything happen here. As far as
If you do, the whole community will find out about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, exactly. We have had a couple black bears in here. We even had a cinnamon bear
Really?
come through the park. Yep.
Man, that's awesome.
They had
David, have you ever seen a cinnamon near you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
lots. Blonde,
Yeah.
cinnamons, red. Yep.
David's in bear country, so
I'm in Oregon.
Oregon, yeah.
oh, so you got them all out there.
Yep.
Yeah, we just got the black bears
The
here.
bears just try to walk into David's house. He doesn't really have to go looking for them.
The window right behind me, I got trail cam pictures of 3 bears outside my window while me and my wife were sitting here watching TV and didn't even know they were out there.
Makes it real easy during hunting season, doesn't it, David?
Yeah, and we can get 3 per person a year here. So
Yeah, that was like when the DNR told me I was feeding the bears. That kind of cracked me up.
Now, where you are, are there a lot of bears there? Or are there?
Yeah, they're getting more and more abundant.
Yeah. Now, do they have a season on them there, or are they?
I think so. I know in the UP they do. I don't know about down here.
In Maryland, we have a season, but it's only in the western section
For now.
for now. Yeah,
It's coming. You know it's coming.
I would say it's going to be at least I'd give it
It'll
at
be a
least another 10 years, maybe, before they even start putting a season out.
Our populations are growing.
It
by the
is.
year, so.
It is. It is growing.
Well, that's the thing about this area too, is within a few miles, there's all kinds of reports of bears and ring cams of them walking up and stuff. But in this area, I've never seen a track or scratch or anything.
I've
So
found tracks within, you know, I mean, I've seen them. I've seen tracks on the farm. I've seen tracks of the neighbors. We've got bears, but I also think that they use the bears as as an excuse all over the place now. If
oh yeah,
anybody finds any sign from one of these things, 100% they're using the bears as a cover up.
Mm-hmm. Do
yep.
you have wolves in your area, Brian?
Have what?
Do you have wolves in your area?
Coyotes.
Coyotes?
Yeah.
We've got a ton of them. Now we haven't had hell when I was a kid, we didn't hardly see coyotes.
Nope.
And
You're
now
right.
they're all over the place. Right, Jerry?
They're very
Yeah, we got
prevalent
them.
now. Yeah.
We get them
Yeah.
here in the park picking off the stray cats. Because we used to have a ton of stray cats, and then my trailer butts up to the wood line, and there's been a couple nights where I've seen eye shine back in the woods, and and the stray cat population has definitely gone down.
Yeah.
I heard what I think was a coyote get unalived out there one night while Bigfoot, and I could hear the coyotes going, and then I heard something that sounded way different, and then I hear a coyote scream and yelp like it's screaming for its life, and then you hear a crack, and that was the end of that coyote.
Whoa.
Didn't hear it anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Whoa.
Well, you've experienced that, and then you've had that. Let's talk about the raccoon. That's one of my favorite.
Oh man, that was. I thought I was going to wind up on World's Funniest or something, because I thought I was going to get attacked by
the
a
raccoon.
They're feisty, man.
Yeah.
It was a big trash panda too. But I was out looking, and it was kind of foggy, and I had a thermal.
Wow.
But I could see a set of eyes, but they were real
Hey,
close to
Sean,
the ground.
we had coyotes over here the other day. My buddy called me. They went out hunting and had one run right past the blind.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that poor little raccoon. Well, yeah, so I see something walking back and forth like a lawnmower type. And it finally gets close enough where I could see the eye shine. And then it gets close enough where I could see it on the thermal. And it's a big, fat trash panda. I mean, he's huge. And all of a sudden, he just stops and freezes. And I'm looking at him trying to figure out, okay, is this where he leaps on me and I get rabies? And then in the tree, you see this great big red arm signature reach out, snatch the panda. And the panda starts screaming for just a few seconds. And then you hear slap.
Mm.
And no more trash panda. And so I'm frozen, still trying to figure out what's going on. I got the flashlight, like the thermal like this, the flashlight like this, and looking down the hill, and all of a sudden you could see a great big, much higher set of eyes, blink, blink. And then you hear thump, 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 and then blink, blink, and then it was gone. And I went back the next day, and there were 17-inch tracks, and about 7 foot up was where the raccoon had been splatted on the tree. So that was the night I was kind of grateful that he was looking for trash panda and not Barber Buffet.
Yeah, right.
'Cause, I mean, I don't know how he got there. It's like he tricked. The raccoon never knew he was there. I never
You
knew
didn't know he was there, so
That could have very well been me.
Yeah.
I've
Pigeon
heard
River.
of Pigeon River, but never been there.
Okay.
yeah, I know there's a lot of elk in that area of Michigan.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when you think about Michigan, you never think about elk.
No, and I forget. I think they transplanted them here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
If I remember right.
Right
that
up
was like
here in Pennsylvania's got a big, further up's got a big population of elk.
Michigan's goofy on their wildlife anyway. I mean, as far as the DNR goes, Department of National, well, I can't say that word anymore, tart muffins, you know, because they'll sit there and my mom took a picture on Lake Michigan while she was walking her Rottweiler with a cougar. I mean, picture clear as day. She takes it to the DNR to show them, and they're like, "That's not here. It's not here." They're going, "You're pulling our leg. This is from someplace else." Well, 2 years later, now they got signs up to say warning cougar sightings, and like, it's like when I talked to the DNR lady, and she told me
about feeding the bears.
About feeding the bears, and I asked her, I said, "Is this being recorded?" She's like, "No." And I said, "Well, I've never seen a bear leave a 23-inch tractor, logs up my truck, or clap at me." And then she went, "Excuse me?" I went, no, as far as I'm going there. And then once I said that, then it was like, "Okay, well, where's your trail cams?" It's like, I don't put any out. You got anything on your phone? Not that you're not seeing without a piece of paper, And then that was when they gave me the warning about.
Now, they didn't. She wasn't from the local office either.
No, she was from over an hour away. I never understood that.
Yeah,
I don't know if she was somebody that, and I'm conspiracy theory here.
Was she somebody higher up that they sent?
Somebody who's dealt with this, and this is what we'll say.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have been I was nervous on that phone call because I didn't know what kind of trouble I could get in.
Yeah, right.
I wish I would have asked for those peanut butter jars back, because when she told me that they had some, and I asked what kind of condition they were in, of course, some of them were chewed by.
No, so she called you. This wasn't a face-to-face.
Yeah, she called me.
Oh.
So actually, she wound up. They visited a friend of mine who had gone Bigfooting with me that day. And because my license plate was in my truck window, they couldn't get a plate number. So they actually went to her house and told her to get a hold of me. And then that was how I called her back. So, yeah. And then she's like, well, she had a question. She's like, well, why are some of the jars a date on the top and a date on the bottom? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And she goes, well, there's one date on the top and there's one date on the bottom. And I they're screwed together. And she said, yeah, that's how we found them. So I kind of chuckled at that. I wish I'd asked for them back, because who knows what kind of hair could have been in there, or fingerprints.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I caught that on another channel I watched yesterday with you on DAs. You were talking about two different dates. How come they asked you how come there's two different dates on the jars?
Yeah. So, but like I said, I was definitely nervous because I didn't know what kind of. Littering's one thing, but
yeah,
I didn't know what else I could get in trouble for. There was. I've had things returned to me that I've lost out there.
Yeah.
A flashlight that I dropped and had no idea where it was at. And then I drive back the flashlight took a couple months. But then all of a sudden laying next to the tree where I park is my little collector's flashlight.
Was that the Tomb Raider's flashlight?
Yeah.
What are you doing taking a collectible flashlight out?
It's the only thing I had. So
use what you got.
Hey, you could probably sell it for more money now, Brian.
It's my Bigfoot. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bigfoot stole my Tomb Raider's flashlight. Some weird collector would probably spend a couple grand on that thing at that point.
Probably the same guy that buys pictures of feet too. But hey, money's money. I don't question where it came from.
Yeah, I don't either.
And that's the thing now too. The Bigfoot thing has grabbed me so much that I can't even say it's just a hobby or an interest anymore, because interests are free. Now it's a hobby because now I've got equipment to try to, now
it starts costing money, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, like the first time I tried to use that thermal camera, you know, I thought I set it on white for hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're watching.
Gary and I both bought a couple of those,
Yeah, I got
like
night
actual
vision
thermal
now.
binoculars.
Works good.
We got them for a decent price. That was what sold us on them, was those AGMs. And
Yeah, I mean, it worked pretty good for what it was. I mean, because I just had one of those flare ones that poke into your phone.
wow.
Oh, okay.
We bought the actual binoculars
Oh, got ya.
for
That works
like $260 some bucks. They were used. They were on B&H Photo, and David's got yours is just night vision, isn't it, David?
Yeah, it's night vision. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a set of night visions too. That works really good.
But David's is mounted to a cordless hole puncher.
Pew pew.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
of a large caliber.
Gotcha.
That's what I just found one somebody had given me for the same thing. He hunts hogs with it.
Yeah.
It's got the starlight, thermal, GPS, takes video.
Yeah.
And I had put it someplace where I knew I wasn't going to forget it. And of course, you know, when that happens, it took me 2 years to
Forget
find it.
Where did I put it? Yeah.
So
Daily. Happens daily here. Trust me.
It happens a lot. I'm on a farm. It happens all the time. Where is that? Oh.
I put this someplace special, but where's that special place now?
Exactly.
Put it where you won't forget it, right?
Yeah. It was the last place I put it.
What
Yeah,
about
so
what about Dogman, dare I say?
me personally, I haven't. Family, yes. Back in '64, they did.
Before
So down
Dogman
in
was even
Nueco.
named. Wow.
So, yeah, it's kind of funny because that happened in '64. They moved to Lake Ann, and then the Bigfoot activity picked up in like '69, I think it was. So they kind of had the best of both worlds. You know, the Dogman thing was trying to remember exactly how it went. First time they told it, I thought it was just one of those campfire stories trying to scare the kids. So it was something I never repeated until, you know, I made sure I talked to my mom and asked her. And, you know, they were sitting around having dinner. And then all of a sudden, their German Shepherd started barking. Next thing you know, the German Shepherd comes through the window with a chain wrapped around his neck. And, you know, unalived as a doornail. And so my grandpa had been in World War II, so he instantly just jumped up and pushed the bookcase in front of the window. And while he was doing that, something was trying to jiggle on the door handle, trying to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had one of those old, from World War II, the spotlights with the big battery canister on the bottom. And he grabbed that, and 3 kids, they went outside and it was foggy. He didn't want to get ambushed, so they went up on the roof. And each kid had a flashlight and, you know, a means of protection, and he had that big spotlight. And they could hear something walking and growling and, you know, around the house. And at one point, they finally got a look from about the chest up and said basically it looked like somebody just put a giant wolf head with a mane on top of a body. You know, it growled and it was back in the fog, and he didn't want to take aim at it because he was afraid where that would go and maybe hit the house further away.
Yeah.
But it walked around till almost morning and then just was gone.
That's freaky.
So, but
Yeah, I was just about to say, Jerry, I was looking at that.
I saved you the effort.
no, I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
I didn't know about this cast at the store. I go to that store all the time when it was a store.
Yeah, he says it's not there any longer. But
Yeah. It's a real estate shop now or something, I think.
Well, you guys must be neighbors.
Pretty much. That's my aunt lived, and she made the papers too because they had they raised a milking cow and chickens, and the chickens started getting picked off. So they got a big dog, and all of a sudden the dog goes ballistic. They hear this huge crash and go outside, and there were tracks leading into the chicken coop. And then whatever it was literally blew through the other side of the wooden enclosed chicken coop to go into the woods.
Okay.
And they had the state police there the next morning, the DNR, the county, newspapers. You know, they made the papers for that. And Hoosier Valley, I've been there many times. Maybe sometimes I might not quite remember as well as I should have.
We don't
That's good.
Yeah, I know Hoosier Valley all too well.
Brian's reliving his youth.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He says he's 5 miles from that store.
Oh, he's right in the heart of Bigfoot country. There was, what was it? This last year, if he knows where Lake Ann Road is, where it hooks up with Barber Road, a woman at Walmart
That
saw.
named after you, Brian?
Actually, it is not me, but my family. My family was one of the first 3 to found Lake Ann.
Oh, really?
So, like in the historical museum, there's this whole little section and stuff, but it's not like they found it in Detroit or something. But yeah, a lady at Walmart saw my shirt and asked me about if I believed, and she goes, "Well, I think I saw one because, you know, I see a deer laying there, and all of a sudden this guy in all brown just walks up and picks this big deer up and walks across the road with it." And I was going to stop and see if he needed any help, but when he got to the other side, he threw it on his shoulder and kept going. I'm like, "Well, was it a baby?" And she's like, "No, there were no spots on it. It was a big deer."
He didn't need any help.
No,
No.
he did not need a helping hand.
He was the helping hand.
And then on 669, there was a report just a couple of years ago, too, of a lady driving, and she saw what looked like, you know, a monkey sitting alongside the road, squatted down, and the neighbor across the street let the dogs out,
Yeah.
and they shot right across to the monkey, and then the monkey stood up and was like 7 feet tall and was actually playing with the puppies and walked off in the wood with the puppies.
Wow.
The dogs fell behind him.
Did the dogs come back?
Yeah, it sounds like they were playmates.
Hmm.
Which is kind of odd. You know, normally you hear the opposite of that.
That's the weird thing. You either hear they went after it and they didn't come back, or they were fine. So maybe it's just you picked with the wrong one day, and
Oh yeah, I think they're
yeah,
like people. You could have the best one on the worst day, and you're gonna have a handful.
yeah. Or you just get too close to one and it yells at you, and then you run off like I did.
Babies, you know, involved. Who knows what? You know, there was a couple walking one of the trails that I was walking up. I hadn't been to that part of the Conservancy yet, and they're like, "Be careful, there's a bear up there." And I said, "Well, how do you know it's a bear?" And she says, "Well, our dog started barking, and all of a sudden 2 trees started shaking." And I said, "A tree?" And she's like, "No, there are 2 of them next to each other, and they both started shaking. So it's got to be a bear." And I kind of chuckled and said, "Okay, well, thank you," because I thought, yeah, maybe a bear could shake a tree if it was itching itself, but how's it going to shake 2? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they it's weird too, because it's almost like they know when rifle season's coming, because it'll be active, and then right around that first week of November it goes silent, and then nothing picks up till New Year's.
Yeah, our gun season starts right around Thanksgiving, but we have like an early muzzleloader,
Mm-hmm.
which is in like October for like a week and a half. And that was actually when the first encounter that, really struck me, like my big encounter, was during that back around 08. And there's other things that I could have, chalked it up to that, but not until later on after that, 20, 40 yards getting screamed at in the dark working on a deer stand is not
No.
that whole
No, that's like
vibration thing. Just, I don't work on anything after dark in the woods anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I'll still track deer after dark, but normally I don't go by myself. And if I do have to track one, I'm like,
I think they've learned that's a difficult anymore. You hear more and more stories of it.
yeah. But I think if you've been around them enough and they know you, if you're just going in there to grab something real quick, they probably are just like, well, let him take it.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole family's been here. This farm's been here 100 years, Brian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My grandfather was 93 and he just passed a year ago. January 7th. It would have been a year. And
sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And I mean, he was really the reason I started doing this, because I know he knew more about it, but he was the only one that would really ever say, well, something happened. So that's kind of how this all got started.
And it seems like people will either say nothing or say everything.
Yeah.
There's no kind of common in between.
Exactly.
That was like,
Brian. Oh, sorry. When that happened,
yeah,
the only thing he said to me that night was, when I walked in there after we had drove the tractor across the field at breakneck speed, jumping hills with John Deere's in the middle of the night. Well, it wasn't middle of the night. It was after dark, but he said, well, you remember those tracks I found? And that was all he said about it that night. And that's still this day, that still sticks with me, going, he was saying stuff without saying it.
That was my Uncle Dave, the one that's in Japan.
And he has the tracks, right? Is that the one?
Yeah, he's got the track, and he everybody knew at one point, the whole family knew he got lost. He was gone for several hours. They couldn't find him. But after I'd been doing this about 2 years, and my mom sent him a couple of the shows I did, he actually wrote me a letter through my mom, so she got to read it. She's like, I never knew this. He never told anybody this. While he was lost, he started hearing footsteps, and all of a sudden something big, hairy and brown would poke its head around the tree and look at him. And so he would kind of run, and whatever it was would pace him. And then when he would stop to look around, it'd poke its head back out to keep him moving. So, and she's like, he never talked about this. So it was kind of cool that, I mean, he's been in Japan since 74. So, I think he was like 8 or 9 at the time. The fact that he was finally comfortable enough with one of the family members to admit what happened.
I've heard similar stuff like that from people around here, but they just never say that.
Yeah, it's...
David, speak up.
What's hilarious is, around here, it's okay to talk about it. My mom started doing as a campground host in Atlanta, Texas. And she said down there, even the game wardens will sit there and tell you right openly about their experience. And it's not if they're in the park, it's when they're going to show up and what they're going to do. Just like it's another, like a hog running around. It's just what's going to happen when they show up. Really matter of fact.
What
So,
Cameron
Brian,
said, no, I haven't heard that. I haven't noticed any of that.
do you feel like they're flesh and blood, Brian, or?
Yeah. I mean, I don't draw any lines in the sand anymore. You know, I used to say just flesh and blood. I still think they're flesh and blood, maybe with just things they've tapped into that we can't, or maybe we've forgotten. You know, because we only use, what is it, 10% of our brain, and half the people in the nation seem to be lower than that. So,
Yeah, I've changed my
you know,
mind.
maybe they just know more. I think Ron Moorhead goes into quantum physics, which is just sky high above my head. Because there are some weird things that, you know, I mean, obviously people are experiencing things and very similar things that probably haven't talked to each other. You know, and I've had my share where I'm following tracks and all of a sudden they're just gone. It's like, you know, even walking several feet farther, you know, I can't find any more. Whether they jumped into a tree or something, I don't know. But,
Yeah.
you know, you hear a lot of stories about people doing that. The whole, I think the cloaking thing is more because of their hair. I think, you know, there's finding hairs and they're translucent, kind of like a polar bear.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of it. To me, that's my opinion, not
Their
anybody else.
camouflage is amazing. I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think it's
Exactly.
predator-esque technology. I think it's just natural camouflage.
Yeah.
I mean, look, well, you guys probably know you're looking for a copperhead or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even alligators, you know, I thought I was a big, you know, I watched Steve Irwin. I was a big alligator expert. So I went to Florida in the Everglades, you know, on a boat. And I'm like, oh, hey, there's an alligator over there during the tour. Can we get a picture? And he's like, well, what about the three right here?
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that going to Florida when I was younger. My grandparents had a place there, and those gators could just blend. I mean, I was at Disney one time years ago. My ex-wife and I had gone. We were there for like a week, and we were there one day, and the canal right in front of the place, like in the middle of everything. You know, that was around the time that kid unfortunately got taken by a gator, and they started putting signs up everywhere, and people were still oblivious to it. And I'm standing there next to one of the little fishing spots, and it's right in the middle of everything where everybody's moving around, and the water shuttles going and all this stuff, and you see this bubble trail coming right up the middle of the canal, and I'm not talking a small bubble trail either. I'm talking a lot of bubbles. And she's looking at me. She's like, "Is that what I'm like, yeah, it is." And he was just coming right up the middle of the canal.
I have never seen one person. Sorry, Brian.
Oh yeah,
Oh, no.
they're huge, David. You ever get to see one? Whew.
Hey, you want to hear the, if you look up stupidity in Florida, you'll probably see my picture next to it. So I'm from Michigan, and we went for a honeymoon, and we were in a gated community, and they had a golf course and everything.
That's
And
what
I said, I
was
want to go check out the. So I go walk down there, and I'm barefoot to begin with, and see this really marshy pond at the edge of the golf course, and I can see the huge tail sticking. I mean, it looked like the tail was that wide. So I decided I'm going to go, you know, get a picture of this thing. I bet I got 3 steps on there, and next thing you know, here comes a golf cart with a siren on top. I'm like, what the heck is this? Apparently, I'd wandered on the wetland, and man, the 2 cops in there just chewed my butt straight, and had no problem demoralizing me how stupid I was with venomous snakes being barefoot down here, and threatening to write a citation before I can even tell them, "Hey, I'm from out of town. I'm sorry, but we got coral snakes, and we got this, and we got that, and you're here barefoot. You dumb, you know."
Oh man.
Wow, you guys don't hold back.
So do you think, here's another question.
Poor David. Hold on, David. You're cutting out, buddy. Figures. He comes up with another question and his internet quit.
Is that?
He'll be back. He'll fix it.
It's like we're talking about aliens or something.
Yeah.
Or those little flying cars over a certain city.
Yeah. Flying cars, there's a good one, Jerry. We could use that.
Yeah. That's the D word.
Yeah.
We're in the Jetson category now.
Yeah. Doggone it. Nope,
You
he'll be
guys
back. He'll be
continue,
back.
I'll be right back.
He'll be back.
Now I'm
Yeah,
always
sweet.
open to questions because
Yeah.
to me, anybody asks a question shows A, they're interested, and B, is going to make me better at finding things, because then it might be something I hadn't thought of, what to look for, what not to.
What
Like watching that video when trying to determine if those were bunny hops, maybe for the tracks. You could see in the picture, you can actually see a notch in the footprint where the heel comes out, because when they walk, because of the structure, the heel kicks out. And right at the top of the snow thing, you can see where that heel kicks out. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Okay. Yeah, and Patrick, you're right on cue with me. I was going to ask you if you've ever seen any orbs up through there anywhere in the woods.
I've seen lights, but can't say for sure they're orbs.
Okay.
Nothing up close.
Is there a particular time of the year that you've noticed more activity, like spring, summer, fall?
Yeah, during the spring and summer, right up until July, and then I think because of the fireworks that go on out there, it'll die off for like a week.
Okay.
You know, when all the fireworks are going off, and then it'll pick back up, and then it goes right through. Fall seems like it's. I don't know if it's because there's less leaves, but you see more stuff happening, or maybe they're getting ready to fatten up for the winter.
Right.
So
There's a question here. Has Brian ever heard of reports from Gladwin County? Eastern Gladwin County. He used to deer hunt.
I haven't, but I've never been one to try to gather all the reports. So
Any structures in the wintertime? Have you noticed?
just the same ones that get built during the summer.
Okay.
What was the weirdest thing that happened actually this year was because when I went out, I mean, very first part of spring, all the old structures had been torn down and new ones had been put up. So, you know, I talked to a couple people and said they think either the alpha male, you know, kicked off, or a new clan bullied them out and moved in. So they removed all of their stuff and put their own stuff up.
David, go ahead while you got service.
No. I was going to ask you, do you think that Bigfoot originated from here, or do you think they were brought here, or do you think they're extraterrestrial in nature, or what do you feel on that?
No, I don't think they're extraterrestrial. Just because of the history, I guess. I mean, you got those petroglyphs of the hairy man out in Arizona or out there, you know, that are somewhere, but I think the dating was between 2,500 and 5,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So not that aliens weren't capable back then, but I think it's more I go along the lines of the Gigantopithecus descendant, personally. I'm not saying that's what they are, so don't, you know.
Everybody's got an opinion. That's
Yeah.
what it's all
To me,
about.
that's, you know, and for the fact that maybe there was some crossbreeding, because you hear about them, the whole Native American thing with women, the whole DNA study where 98% came back human female but unidentifiable male. So, but I think chimpanzees are right there too with as far as human DNA in comparison. It's just they know who the father was.
Mhm.
So until one comes up and shakes my hand and this is what I am, that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas. I mean, like I said, I was saying whenever you were asked what you thought they were, my mind has changed a handful of times or more since going on these podcasts and stuff. You hear so many different really good ideas, and everything just starts coming together. There's so many different things they could be. Realistically, flesh and blood is obvious. I've seen one, and what I saw through that window was flesh and blood. But other things that they do, I can't say if there's portals. I can't say that they have the ability to shimmer and disappear or whatever you want to say, because I've never seen a trackway just stop. Okay, now if I saw myself, if I seen a trackway, knowing full well what they are, it's obvious what they would be. I would think. I've seen everything but a track. So, but anyway, and it just disappeared. I got to sit there and ponder, what in the hell? How does that happen? Because I've heard it so many times, and that's a good question, Phyllis. We're going to hit him with that next. Very good question. Um, we had.
I was just going to touch on that.
Yeah, mind speak. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and touch with that.
The only time I think that could have happened was, well, I'm not saying that only time could have. When I think it may have happened was my first sighting, because when I pulled up, it's in the headlights and it's staring at me. It felt like it was looking into my soul, and those two big yellow eyes, I'm looking at them, and I go to hit the horn to make it move, and something tells me to stop. Because if I hit that horn, it's going to be a very bad night for Brian. And so I'm literally like this, like I'm ready for pressure luck to win $1 million or something, And that lasted a few seconds, and then it just turned to its left and stepped off the rail. So something told me not to, whether that was what was in front of me or my gut instinct. I don't know for sure. But
It's probably a good thing you didn't do that.
yeah, I mean, because the junkyard has in that former car that I had, it was a 79 El Camino. And being the size I am right now, I can sit, and you could fit two of me, and we would touch door handles. Yep. And its shoulders were that wide.
Wow.
Brian, you still have that car?
What's that?
You still have that car?
No, it's at the junkyard now. The kid I sold it to blew the motor in it. So
a couple of friends of mine had El Caminos. They're a full size, just like having a Malibu or something. But
I got a friend of mine still has a 69, and they've done some work to that thing, and he don't take it out very often. I went to high school with him. His dad built it, and it's one of those ones where if he wants to go stir up some stuff, he fires her up and brings her out for a bit. But when he's out on the town, he does not drive that thing. He said it makes too much of a commotion.
They can. The last one I had was a 1970. It was the last car my dad and I did together. And it originally came with a 3.7 4-speed. And it was that 4-speed and motor were on the floor before it was cold, and we had a 454 sitting in it. And
I think it's got a 396 in it now or something like that.
Yeah, that was a popular motor for them.
Yeah. It had a smaller motor, but they put that one in it.
350, yeah.
And then they took they had a 70-something Malibu that they worked on, that it just had it was the old granny car, and they ripped that out and painted it black and put a 400 in it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I still got a motor that my dad and I did. It's a 67 Corvette motor, 427, 435 horse stock. And we put it in that El Camino after we built it a little bit, and it was just stupid too much. I mean, we had a 373 Posse. As soon as you would touch that gas, I mean, it just whipped that car around. So I'm saving it for a project car for my son and I. And he actually texted me. He's like, Dad, I know a guy that can help us. And I'm like, okay, with what? And he goes, we can put that in a 69 Mustang. I went, no. He's like, why? I said, it's a Chevy motor. It's a 427 Corvette motor. It's versatile. We're not putting in a Mustang. But he's got the kit and everything. I said, if I find out you put that motor in that Mustang, I will come down there and cut the front off and pull it home.
Putting a Chevrolet motor in a Mustang.
Blasphemy.
That's what I'm like. There's no way my DNA is in you if you want to do that. But he did prove me wrong because he turned 25, and I said, how's it feel to be a quarter century old? And he replied, how's it feel to have 2/3 of your life gone? So, okay, that's my kid.
That's my kid.
Pine knot, I don't actually pull. I have pulled before other people's stuff, but I film. I film and work for PPO East Coast, flag and tech and et cetera, et cetera. But mostly I just film. I don't have a pulling vehicle. Too much money.
Well, let's turn the tables. What do you guys think they are?
Well, I pretty much just told you. I think they're flesh and blood. I haven't laid my finger on anything beyond that because I change my mind every other day on it. I really don't know beyond that. They got some serious special capabilities. Serious special capabilities.
Yeah.
What do you think, David?
I feel the same. That hey, I'm open to the woo thing or whatever else.
Yeah.
The Nephilim theory could possibly be. But like you said, Jerry, like you guys said, it seems that they do things beyond our thinking as far as normal physical behavior, I guess. Like said, tracks ending in snow or mud or something like that, or seemingly disappearing or appearing, or like disappearing in a flash of light at a gun, a shot of a gun or something like that.
Yeah.
So there just seems like there's more to it, but I do believe that they can stop breathing.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I really think I'm kind of back and forth on some of this stuff. Like, I know they're flesh and blood. I've never personally, like David and I both haven't, technically seen one. We've had our up close encounters with them, getting screamed at in the dark and stuff, and finding tracks. But I mean, I think there's more to them than just flesh and blood. I mean, I know they're flesh and blood. People have killed them. I can follow their tracks, so they got to be flesh and blood. But I think they've got, where they've unlocked that part of the brain that most of us, that can't access, how to do way more stuff than we can. They're capable of way more. And just imagine what we'd be capable of if we could do that.
Yeah, I think, now I'm preaching here, but, I think we've just kind of dumbed down because we rely on technology so much.
Yeah. And they don't have technology.
No.
They don't have it. And you see what they can do.
We know of.
Well, we've seen, where they could be using they know how to use tools. We've figured that out in some places where they know how to do stuff. They can figure out how to use things to their advantage. So what? I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I know they know how to, they've got basic knowledge of how to manipulate things.
Yeah, they gotta have some idea. I mean, I can't imagine somebody knew the day, time I was going out and then followed me without knowing it and then turned my
Yeah.
microphone off 20 minutes later. And trail cams, I know a guy who has he's a guide hunter, but his main source of income is he goes out and cuts runways up in Alaska for the bush pilots. So they literally fly him out to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Hang him from a helicopter. And then how they test the ground is they go down. If he sinks past his knees, and they pull him back up, find a different spot and drop him again. And so he does those runways. And when he's not doing that, he has a place way out in the middle of nowhere. And I forget how he explained it, but basically you're not getting through. There's only one way in and one way out. And you have to go through his camp in order to get to his hunting area.
Yeah.
And
that's some remote shit right there.
They've had people up in helicopters looking for homeless people. They've had, looking for anybody out there because their trail cams will get moved. They'll get turned upside down. The trail cams get moved from tree to tree.
Yeah.
Something's out there messing with them. And if he forgets to bring batteries, because for his lights and stuff, the very first night he's there, they'll come up and smack the house so he can't sleep till he gets his batteries for that.
That's like some of the stuff you hear about people talking about having their motion sensors on their cameras messed with around their houses and stuff, where the lights will be pointed.
Lights, yes.
Or they'll use the sensor. Yeah.
We've also heard stories of them loosening the bulb so they won't come on.
Yep. And they don't need a ladder to do it.
Nope.
Nope, they got quite the wingspan. And they must understand it, because that was part of how the DNR got involved in my case, was the fact that
they were messing with the neighbor stuff. Yeah.
And it was them throwing peanut butter jars to get the motion lights to come on. When they watch the footage, the peanut butter jar go bouncing through the yard. So
I know this sounds terrible, but I just laugh thinking that somebody sitting in their house, and the next thing you know, they got empty peanut butter jars just sailing out of the woods at them. But how many jars did how many they had thrown at the house, or was it?
I don't know exactly how many.
A collection of them, or now you hadn't been on a very good terms with some of these people prior to this, had you?
Yep. The people whose yard got thrown at with the peanut butter jars.
Oh, so they were already pissed off at you for.
No, they and I got along okay, because literally came out to me one day and asked me what I was doing. They asked me if I was trapping porcupine. I'm like, what? Well, we went to an Indian art show, and we thought maybe you're using peanut butter to trap them. I was like, have you seen any traps out here at all? Live traps, anything? No, so that's why we kind of wonder what you're doing. And so I was just honest. I started looking through pictures, and there was it's still a blob squash, but it was a pretty decent one. That selfie I took of standing, and that guy's like, yeah, that ain't Wilt Chamberlain, is it?
Nope.
And they're like, well, as long as you keep it on that side of the road, then. Right. Hey, Gene. No, I never did make it. I want to. But yeah, and that whole thing started because I got sick. because for 2.5 years I was consistent on Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday going out and putting, peanut butter out. And then I got sick with, the stuff that was going around and missed 3 weeks. And then when I went back was when the DNR called and explained it was week 2 when they started throwing the peanut butter jars. And then week 3 was when they peeked in that guy's house.
Oh yeah, I forgot about. I remember.
Yeah, those were the ones I didn't get along with, and those are the ones who are really not happy with me now.
The ones where they peeked.
Yeah, second story window peeking in at his daughter.
Ooh.
So I can't blame him for that one. Oh, Sean heard about the sweet and low box.
I don't know if I've heard. I don't know if I remember the sweet and low box.
Yeah, that was kind of what put me. I guess it gets talked about.
Was that one of the things that got you in trouble, Brian?
No, it didn't get me in trouble, but it did get me in trouble because it didn't come out until the first show I did. I was walking, and there was a great big piece of poo. It was frozen to the ground.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
And so I was talking to a friend. He's like, "Well, you got to get a sample." And of course, all I had was a little plastic baggie. So I'm digging at this thing with my hands, trying to get a piece of it, from the frozen ground. I put it in the baggie, and I put it in my backpack and start walking. And all of a sudden, I'm like, "Oh my God, what stinks? That's horrible!" And then I realized it was unfreezing from the heat from my body.
Oh man!
So I put it in the back of the truck and go home. And a friend said he had somebody to collect it, so just stick it, package it up. And the only thing I had was, like I said, the freezer bag. So I took that and stuffed it in a sweet and low box, and then taped it shut, put it in my freezer, said Brian's poo, don't touch. And the guy never materialized to pick it up, so it sat in there, and I totally forgot about it. And then the subject came up on the show, and I says, "Oh yeah, wait, hey, I got," and then I got the sweet and low box. And then my girlfriend got in the chat, and she's like, "There's a what in my freezer?" God, I thought I told her.
Oh
No,
man!
So she found out there was Bigfoot poo sitting next to the pot roast in the freezer.
Yes.
I almost had to get a new home over that one. But still got it. It was like, if somebody wants to, but I didn't know plastic eats DNA. Somebody told me that it should have been papered in order to preserve it. But I mean, there's a couple pounds there. I'm hoping if somebody does decide they want to analyze it, maybe they can get something out of the middle of it.
That would be very interesting.
Absolutely, Chad. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was what I was worried about was going to happen to me after that DNR call.
I believe there are.
Me too.
Yep.
I've got a few random phone calls from Washington D.C. after we started doing this show. And you all know me. I just answered the phone and was like, "Hey."
Surprised they got through to you.
And they didn't answer, they didn't respond. They just hung up.
Like he actually answered.
I don't care. I'll talk to you. I don't know what you're going to get out of me, but
Yeah, that was the only reason I really went public, was I didn't want people doing what I did. I got into this originally for fun.
When did you start going public, Brian? Was
Right
it
cans.
Public was 2 years ago,
how long have you been into it then?
2019. So
Well, that's a lot of action. Wow.
yeah, a friend put me on this place, and I thought for sure I was going to go out and get skunked. It was just one of those things. and took a friend with me who was a total skeptic. But it was like a chance to walk out in the woods, so why not? And like I said, I'm kind of shy, so I wasn't doing yells or anything. What I would do would just clap twice. And when you got there, there was no animal sounds, nothing. It was like, well, it's winter, probably just hiding out or whatever. So we start walking down and we're chatting and stuff and clapping every now and then, and nothing's happening. We get about a mile down, and where we were at, if you go look up to the right, there's a bluff that overlooked Lake Michigan, but at the top you could also overlook most of the valley that you're in. So I thought that'd be a cool place. I wonder what I could see from up there. So I took a picture, and then I got about 3 steps up, and all of a sudden it sounded like 2 catcher's mitts hit together. I mean, really fast. It stopped me dead in my tracks. I looked at my friend. She looked at me. She's got tears in her eyes. And I said, you know, it takes hands to clap, right? And she's like, yeah, I want to go home. So I'm like, hey, I'm right behind you. So we start walking up. And at that point was when all of a sudden you would hear a couple tree knocks. Walk a little farther. And then what was behind us all of a sudden is a tree knock behind us and like a whistle to the left. And you get about halfway to the truck, and now you got footsteps on the right, something behind you, something on the left, and then the metal gate I parked next to, you can hear him shaking the gate. And I thought, man, did I screw up? I am not getting out of here breathing. And we get back up there, and there were tracks around the truck and stuff, and it took about 4 or 5 months before I'd go back, because it rattled me pretty good. And then that was when everything kind of started, just going out and finding a tree structure or something. And then we started,
Yep.
So yeah, so that's when the gifting started, with just weird little things, you know, whatever I could think of, little army men or something. And sometimes they disappear. Like I said, or they get moved. And then when I saw a picture, I don't know who put it up, but somebody had like a big thumbprint in a peanut butter jar. I thought, okay, well, that'd be pretty cool. So I started putting them out. And of course, the raccoons got a few and stuff like that. But then you would find the one that would be lit clean, and it was almost like a trail where you would find the wrapper,
Yeah.
the oil, the lid, and then
Yeah.
the jar.
And
So,
Brian, was it you that saw the was it a muskrat or something carrying one of your peanut butter jars?
yeah, it looked like a little mink. I thought it was a mink or something. And she's running across. I'm like, what the heck is that?
Was that one of the big Walmart 4-pounders?
Nope, that was one of the little ones. That was when I went to the 4-pounders, was because I thought, well, let's see you run with this, you little prick.
He was carrying off one of them. Was
Yeah,
there
he had the. If you're looking at the squirrel, he had his lips on this end of it, so he had to keep his head so high that he looked like a mongoose or a cobra running across the thing with my peanut butter. I'm like, well, at least I know where that one went.
Now, how many of those jars have you recovered?
Dozens. I even quit counting. I mean, I actually went through a bunch of way that just kept
Billy Schilling, that was in the chat, he was doing the peanut butter thing for a while. He's in Virginia, not far from Spencer's Jameson, and he had he never found most of the. I don't think they ever found any of the jars.
We found the first year, I think, about 80%, because we were really big on not littering. You know, the whole point was to go find those jars.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would find, I think, about 80%, but then the second year it dropped way off. And I mean, we were putting out 9 jars a week.
I think he had done 85 jars before he started pulling them off of it.
Yeah, we averaged it out, and it was 9 a week for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
So
How many?
9 a week. So
Good
52
God.
times 9. So over 450 in a year.
Holy
Wow.
People at Walmart get so mad buying peanut butter. That was when peanut butter was in shortage. You thought I was buying toilet
I
paper.
see Brian out there during COVID buying all these things. Cases of peanut butter during the
Yeah, it was.
during the lockdown. Yeah, they're billing 87 jars completely gone. Not even a wrapper.
Yeah, and I
And
haven't
he
fed them
started
for.
putting them up higher in the tree, like 7 foot, and screwing the lids on, threading the jar on.
Oh yeah, we were bungee cording them, and the other cool thing that wound up happening too was taking like colored popsicle sticks,
Yeah,
just random, together in a wad,
yeah,
put them under the peanut butter, bungee cord it to the tree,
yeah.
and then you go back and the bungee cord's undone, the peanut butter jar is gone, but the popsicle sticks are laying on the ground, but they're sorted by color. So you find 2 blue, 2 red, 2 green.
Now, did you have them all colored?
Yeah. Yeah, you
So
can buy
did
the.
you just like paint them, or
No, you can buy the colored ones.
oh, you can buy. Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure how.
I had a glow in the dark ball that I put out in
Yeah, and it stopped working, and they brought it back, didn't it?
I got it.
Hmm.
I mean, not a bite mark on it. It still
Wow.
looks brand new. It just doesn't work.
That's crazy.
And how long did it disappear for?
6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
And then it just showed back up.
Same spot.
Not
Now,
normal.
What color was it? Green?
No, well, it was clear.
Yeah, 7 foot 6 inches up the tree.
Just one of those. I don't know what do you call them, whitish green. I know I got it around here. Anyway. Yep, that. Yeah, I started getting so many peanut butter jars. It was like I run out of room, so it just kind of kept the more important ones. And still finding some every now and then. I mean, places I've walked dozens and dozens and dozens of times. All of a sudden, a random peanut butter jar will show up.
Really?
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
That was why it killed me this year, not being able to go out there so much, just because of health issues. And oh man, I am missing so much. I know what's going on. And like I said, the first time I go out, all the old stuff's gone and new stuff, and it's all bigger and higher in the trees. And and I don't know what it is, but out there for some reason they beat the living crap out of the cherry trees. Every cherry tree you find out there is snapped off about 7.5 or 8 feet up. Yeah, exactly.
What was that last one that popped up about the shining hair?
Sean said it.
Yep. I'm looking for it. Asked if anybody has seen something about the shine.
One with
Shine
the yeah, with the skin so black and the hair so black that it shined.
Yeah.
One I saw looked more leathery, but he was in the shade of a bush too, so it was a juvenile. Almost like it was playing peekaboo. I would try to get a better look, and it would duck this way, back and forth, and then that happened twice in 2 weeks. First time lasted maybe 10 seconds, and then a knock, and then all of a sudden you could hear it run off in the woods. And then the second time was probably 30 seconds, and then a knock, and the same thing off into the woods it went. but it was more leather. It didn't have a real a sheen to it.
Right. That's yep. That's what I see.
Brian, I don't know if you caught last week's show, but Lavon that's in the chat, she's about an hour from us, and she has the PA Cryptid Research Team, and she's actually seen an infant.
Oh,
up close. Yeah.
that'd be pretty.
Yeah.
Was it with me or was it tucked away?
It was with Big Brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be cool.
Yeah.
Was it being carried, like, or was it?
No, he was just sitting there, and the other one walked up next to it, and then she was so entranced that she didn't hear Mom and Dad knocking down trees up the way.
Sounds. I hope I pronounce this right. Skin Kwando.
Yes.
Sounds like he was pretty darn close to me.
He must be in your area.
Yeah, because Leanne Bridges, her husband Steve, is the one doing my contest prep. So,
Any of your friends in the chat tonight, Brian?
I've seen a couple people that are normally in chats. Little Twisted and a couple other people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Has Brian had been hit with anything? This year I got hit. Had stuff thrown at me, including that log I talked about when I did the Ohio Howl. This year was the first year I actually got hit with force. Last year I was out. I wasn't even Bigfooting. I just had my headphones on. I wanted a break from everybody. Walk in and all.
You're never going to get a big break from the hairy guy. Come on, Brian.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, it's not like I have stuff happen every time. It's hit and miss. But when I'm out there 3 times a week, I'm just a little more lucky. I figured it was going to, because it was one of those. I get out of the car and there's birds and squirrels and everything, so it's like, okay, no worries. Slap my headphones on. Get about a half mile into my walk, just finding my pace, and all of a sudden, ping, right in the earphone with a rock. Like, mother, broke my $70 headphones. But this year, like I said, something's different out there now. Out walking in the park where I talked about where it's okay during the day, but I know I should not be there at night. And I broke a branch to get it out of my way, and then I got hit in the back. And luckily I had a Carhartt on, but it was a thud and it hurt.
Oh,
And it was rock about that big. That's the first time I've ever been actually hit with something like that. That was definitely grabbed my attention.
yeah. Why do you think they did that?
Like I said, I don't know if the old mill kicked off out there or it's a new clan. So maybe I was getting too close to it. Because I know they use the juniper bushes out there for either sleeping or hunting, because you'll be walking and all of them are all puffy, and then you'll find one where just the middle of it is flat.
Yeah. Now, you think Big Red's the big guy on campus, or?
No, I don't think he's the big guy. Last time I saw him, little over 7 feet. First time I saw him, he was only about 5.
Yeah.
But wider than me.
So you don't think he's the big guy on campus?
I don't think so. No, not by the tracks anyway. If it's
23-inch try. That's a
now.
big
Do you think you've ever had a glimpse of the big guy?
I got that picture. Where you can see when after Bob lightened it up, it's leaning out and you got that huge shape next to the tree, and by that tree. Now, actually,
send us that so we can look at it, because I want to see that one.
Yeah. Holler at them this time.
Yep.
I'm always afraid to holler at something that's, 8, 9, 10 feet tall.
Brian, I don't know if you ever talked to Mary, but Mary's the one that runs the PA Bigfoot project.
Mm-mm.
She's
Mary
not far
Fabian.
from us. Mary Fabian. I'm planning on seeing Mary here this year, at least in June, if I don't make it to the to me show up by Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only time I ever hollered at one was we were out at night the last time we went out. Trying to think. End of August. And again, it's when I gotta find a way to. I need to start watching my language and the jokes I crack when I'm recording, because some of this stuff is really cool, but I really don't want to put it, my jokes on with where they go. They're right in the ditch with
Yeah,
some
Mary
of
will chew them out.
Yeah, we had one that we had stuff moving up on the hill, so both of us are looking. She's looking through FLIR, and I'm looking through my Dodgy. Makes a pretty good phone with the thermal in it.
What phone's that?
Dodgy. Yeah, Dogee. It's got a thermal camera right in it.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then it's even got settings where you can put the frame around it so you know exactly where that object starts and ends. And so she was asking me about something, and I looked and we were trying to figure it out. And then we hear a grunt behind us and turn, and it looked close to 7 feet, was in between us and the truck about 50 yards. And it's standing there, and both of us are watching, trying to figure out what's going to happen. And it looks like it took us a couple steps forward and just stood there, and it looked like it took another couple steps. And then I stepped forward and went, "Hey, close enough." And then it took like 2 more quick steps. I'm like, "Oh crap, this is it. I screwed up," and then it just went off into the woods. But then after that, you can hear it stomping around and for maybe a minute and a half, throwing like a little temper tantrum. So, and then after that was when we decided we probably pushed our luck far enough, because it was starting to get really late into the witching hour. And we started walking out, and it was stomp, stomp, stomp as we walked back up the hill. That was the only time for that brief minute, though, I thought, "Oh boy, did I grunt at the wrong one."
Yeah. That's kind of same with me. I think one time I actually yelled out, "All right," just like frustrated, because I build like homemade bows, and I was out cutting this piece of brush, and while I was sawing, it was wiggling that brush, and I could just hear crash, crash, crash coming off the hill directly in front of me. And I thought whatever it was, I should have been able to see it. So I stopped and I looked. First, I was thinking it was a deer or whatever. And it kept doing it. Every time I'd go to saw on that piece of brush and wiggle that brush, it was like cracking, bam, bam, crack, get closer and closer. And so I stood up. I'm like, "All right, I hear you," and it got quiet. And then I leaned down and started sawing again. And I was almost through the piece of wood. And it was just like, crack, 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 and like it was coming fast. And I cut the piece of wood off and just turned and started walking off. And I could hear it still coming. Finally, I was like, "All right, I'm leaving," just kind of yelled it really loud. And it stopped. And I just kind of went on my way. And that was actually like about 500 yards from my house right here.
It's probably the bow that David was building for me.
It could be.
It's probably the same piece of wood.
Yeah, it was. I left in haste, though. It was enough where I was just like, "All right, I'm leaving."
Yeah.
See, that's one of those where I think they've got their own language, but at the same time, they can understand English.
I was getting ready. I was going to say, do you think they understand English? Yes.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they pick up on it with people talking in the woods and everything. And the fact that I don't think it's a person yelling that's intimidating. I think it's the words that they're saying.
Yeah.
Brian, I actually did the same thing that David was saying. I was hunting a couple years ago out back, and I wouldn't say it was creepy. Nothing like what I experienced with whatever that was in West Virginia, turkey hunting back around what was that, 22? Might have been before that. I think this is more Bigfoot. I think what that was Dogman. That was in West Virginia, but I had been I'd been back here during gun season, and I was testing out a new rifle for a friend of mine. Since this is we used to only be able to hunt shotgun in this county, and then they switched it when it was straight wall, and I was checking out a new one for a friend of mine, and I was in the stand, and all of a sudden I get the feeling like, you know how you're sitting in a room and you feel like somebody's staring at you, and you just know where it's coming from. And I was sitting there, and I looked up and I zeroed in on this one spot, and I couldn't see nothing, but I knew something was there. And whatever it was, staring me down. And I'm not very confrontational till you push me into a corner. And then I was like, I just set that thing up on the rail and flipped the safety off, and I said, probably don't want to do that. And whatever it was, that just feeling just went away as soon as I spoke to it.
They knew what it was and what the intentions were.
Yeah. I think they know when you've got that intention where you're not going to back down.
Yeah.
And I think they know what a pew-pew is.
I do too, and I don't know if they can smell the oil or what it is, but if I carry, nothing.
Same here, usually.
Even just the, I don't know, you can't say whatever caliber you want to say, but
yeah,
if it's in my waist and hidden, it's just nothing. So, I wind up leaving it in my truck, and things are happens. It happens, whether it's coincidence or not. I don't know.
Yeah. But then you have them on you sometimes, and you have stuff happen. So,
yeah, I think it just depends on how brave they are that day, or where you're at, where you're going. If you're going in the wrong place, to them.
Yeah. I mean, I've had it both ways as far as that goes. I've had activity with that, and I've had activity with. So,
yeah,
we got screamed at working on that stand. Neither one of us had anything.
I worry more about people than I do them.
Yeah,
as weird as that.
I do too. Yeah, I really do. And that whatever I ran into in West Virginia, I'm pretty sure that was Dogman. I don't think that was, because I've had a completely different feeling on that trip versus everything that's ever happened to me, even though I've been ran out of the woods. That trip was completely different.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough not to have issues with Dogman so far.
Yeah.
Because, Jean was in chat I saw earlier. She's the only person I know that's had positive interaction with him.
Really?
I don't know anybody else who's had anything positive
That's
happen.
interesting.
Write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, you think she'd be interested in coming on with us?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
She doesn't do shows.
Okay. Now, would she talk to one of us?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, if you can
on the show though,
if you can put her in touch with me, I'd love to talk to her. I mean, she doesn't have to come on, but I'd love to talk to her.
Yeah, very knowledgeable. I mean, she's got her own, like, clan of Bigfoot. If she's got the TV too loud, she's listening to the podcast. They play the screams. They start going off in the background.
Sounds like Coonbo
So
Yeah.
in Missouri.
yeah, it's funny because I just we did a show on this the other day about Dogman and Dogman evidence and the Gable film. You guys know that one?
Which one's that?
Where the Monster Quest aired it, where there's the guy with the 70s snowmobile and you see chopping wood.
Oh, yeah.
And then, the Dogman hopping toward him. It was like, I was friends with Jack O'Malley, who was co-host with Steve Cook, the guy that wrote the legend, the Dogman. It's like he told me that was fake before it even hit Monster Quest. And then Monster Quest come on, and they actually had to admit that it was kind of an April Fool's joke, and he did it in order to reignite interest in the Dogman because it was 1987, and the Dogman's supposed to come out every 10th year on the 7th year, and somehow it grabbed, took roots, and people to this day still cling to that as the best piece of Dogman evidence when it's like, they came out and said it. Even the guy admitted and showed how he did it. He actually had the snowmobile, he had the old-fashioned camera, which some of the guys on Monster Quest look kind of, unfortunately fooled because they said, yeah, it doesn't move like a human. And then the guy repeated the process. So he was in a ghillie suit. So, but you get into some of these shows and they still, here's the best piece. And it's the Gable film. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
That's the worst part about this topic.
That's why, yeah.
Looking for hits.
Yeah.
Looking for hits. You bet.
It's like, that's the worst part about trying to get Bigfoot taken seriously is all the hoaxing.
Yep.
Nobody says they got a T-Rex running through their yard.
Yeah, Coonbo.
That's right, Brian.
Hey, Greg, we gotta get Coonbo on soon. I'll be talking to you about that.
Anyway. Well, we're over 2 hours here, guys.
I was just going to say, I hate to do it, but I got to cut short because my girlfriend's probably hungry. So,
yeah, it's getting late here. So, but
Brian,
I had an absolute blast, guys. Thank you for having me.
My gosh,
it has been a pleasure.
Absolute wealth of knowledge.
Awesome.
We will definitely have you back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I hope so. I had an absolute blast doing this.
Yeah, we'll do it for sure.
What?
I'm sure you'll be coming across some more stuff.
Have you had anything recent going on, or has it been?
I've been so wrapped up in this bodybuilding competition after my friend passed, and doing this show with Grizzly and doing Midnight Lycanthropy. And the weather's been total crap here. We've had like an actual winter in Michigan again.
Yeah. How often are you doing Midnight Lycanthropy?
Twice a week.
Are you?
Yep.
That's the name of the channel, right?
Star Fox Radio is the name of the channel.
Star Fox Radio. Yeah, I was looking into some of that earlier today.
I'll have to check that out. What nights are you doing that?
He pre-records it, so it's just whenever he gets them out.
Okay.
We record on Saturday and Sunday, and Kenny's a great guy, a wealth of knowledge in the Dogman.
And that's called Star Power?
Star Fox?
Star Fox, okay.
Yeah. Young kid, but passionate and intelligent and very science-based.
Yeah.
So,
wonder if he's my age, because feel like I'm the youngest one in this. I'm 35.
I don't think he's that old.
Now?
Huh. No, I think he's in his maybe 30.
There's not many of us in this bunch that are in that age group.
No, I'm well beyond that.
Well beyond. Way beyond.
Yeah, you guys are all in the 50s group. I'm like,
I'm pushing
35.
Like my kid said, he wasn't kidding. You know, I'm 54, so 2/3 of my life is gone.
Brian's in Michigan, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're good for 54, man.
Jerry, what are you, 57 now?
Just turned 58.
Oh, damn it. Sorry. I just saw Jerry yesterday. He was dropping off egg cards for me while he was canning Hillary.
Now I ask him what's in his silver cup.
It's not silver anymore. My girlfriend got me a new one. But look, there's a Bigfoot on there.
Oh,
Nice.
I like the background one.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
My girlfriend got me that for Christmas this year.
That's
There's
Elaine got me a
a
bunch
guy
of.
up in PA, not far from where she lives, that actually does those. And he'll make a big one too, like a 7-footer.
Yep.
And I think you only charge like $150 for those, and they're laser cut.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg, I got family up there too, Greg, not far from him. Yep. Got a cousin, his family lives up there. Yep. Maryland transplant from Maryland to Michigan.
Yeah,
Oh, what's he thinking?
We're definitely going to be having Brian back on because this has been awesome.
Oh, I've had blast. This is great. It's nice to talk with people instead of, you know, sometimes you get on and people talk at you. It's like, that's not my thing. I want to have a conversation.
Yeah, and just, you know, it's open. You know, we're not going to sit here and hound you with 1,000 questions, which, I mean, we have plenty. We can. I have a list usually, yay long or longer, but I forget half of them once we get into the show. But it's good. I like to just get it off your chest, kind of deal. Tell us what you've had happen and what you think, and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, we'll definitely have you back.
I'm such a lazy researcher, though. I mean, literally, if I lose this, all that stuff is gone. My memories and everything. It's all on the phone.
Life gets
I got to
busy.
look through the phone for dates of when this happened. I should have been logging it, and actually, somebody made me an app. I'm going to start using that. App.
That's funny. Hillary.
Where you open the app and it automatically puts in your location, and it's got different sighting or different like if you had a tree structure, if you had a vocalization, sighting, tracks, so you can put that in and it'll let you put 3 pictures in with a summary of what you found just by opening the app.
That's interesting.
That's cool.
Chris Hensley made.
What's the app called?
Actually, it was special made by Chris Hensley.
Okay.
So it's kind of a one-time thing. Cryptic Cowboy, if you want to look up on Facebook, he'd probably do it for you.
You got a lot of interesting information and stories, Brian. People are intrigued.
For only being around, doing what you've been doing since 2019, man,
I got to give credit to, my friend Lance Eby for that one. He's the one that turned me on to the spot. So,
yeah. Wow. Busy spot. Very, very, very busy.
You should try a 5-gallon bucket of peanut butter.
Well, I promise not to feed him now.
Yeah.
But, I've had other ideas too about, well, if I do this, maybe I'll put some peanut butter in a sugar cone and I'm not littering. But then you don't know if the jars were half the fun. In the jar.
Well, I'm working on something Jerry and I have been talking about. I haven't really talked about much with David, but the family cabin that we're trying to keep now since my grandfather's gone down on the river. I've been thinking about doing some research down there since
it's very worthy area.
Yeah.
That's not far from me at all. That's a very worthy area down on the creek.
I call it creek, but it's a hot tub store and sells hot tubs and saunas near
Traverse City. Yeah.
Oh, God, there's a couple of them. One just down the road from me. Phil's, I think it's called.
Hey, you need to get in touch with Greg because Greg's in Alabama and he's good friends with Coonbo, and he's got a hell of a lot of activity.
There's a guy in Lake Ann that's right next door. My mom had just told me about him. He wants to get in touch with me, so maybe we'll have something next time. Literally next door to the property my grandma had, that he's got Dogman and Bigfoot going on at the same time. So she said he wants to talk to you. So that's going to be interesting if I can get a hold of the guy, because he has a taxidermy business. So I'm sure he knows his animals. And
I was going to say, he's a taxidermist. Yeah. That's very interesting, a taxidermist. Taxidermists know their animals.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
They know a lot of my animals, too.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Good show. Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you.
We really do appreciate it, Brian.
We look forward to another show with you for sure. And we'll be checking out. So. We'll be checking out those other ones too, for sure.
That sounds good, guys. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Greg just said Greg and Bonnie Beckman.
I don't know them.
Okay. They have this store, yes. Okay. Good deal.
Thank you again, Brian. It's been an honor, man. Nice to meet you.
Michigan hotspot.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night.
All right, you too.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Okay, wow. That was a great guest from the state of Michigan, man. What a hot spot. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
How about that?
That is something, isn't it?
Yep.
It's got some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Told you it was going to be good, Jerry.
And I think you dig in there a little bit deeper. And we got, what's his name? Skin Quando. Skin Quando, I sent you my email. Please email me.
Yeah. We got to get him on.
Please, we want to get you on here. You sounds like you got some information you'd like to talk about. So.
Yep. He said he'd never seen one, but he knows like stories and information. Yeah.
That's just as important.
We'll listen to anything you got to say. Yep.
Yep.
So I sent you my email. Give me a shout.
I was having a hell of a time keeping up a chat tonight. It's just flying so damn fast.
Only Jeffrey.
I am really impressed with how the chat has been going. Good God.
Yeah.
It's great. That's what you want.
Yep.
You're busy.
How many did we have in there? 75, Jerry?
Oh, we were over that.
Jeff, he's like, oh, we had more than that.
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Yeah. We're just messing with you.
There shouldn't be noise that way, but there is. But anyway. Okay, folks, thank you. Man, love this stuff. Tuesday nights are awesome. Blowing Wednesday nights away, that's for sure.
This has just been great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look back at all of the messages and
that was a dirty look.
Anyway, with that said, we're going to get out of here. It's late here in the East Coast, so.
Wiener heads.
Have you had dinner yet, David?
I did right before we came on.
I ate an entire steak, but I feel like I'm still hungry.
One of the most active states. Yeah, I believe it. Skin Quando. Get a hold of me, please.
Michigan, I think Michigan is underlooked as far as, I mean, it's right in an area where you would think if there's activity.
Thank you, Terry. Yep. Appreciate you being here.
Right there.
Yep. I'm gonna cut off the slighted bunny up here. He'll be yapping for another hour. So
yes.
That's all right. All right, appreciate it. Be back next Tuesday.
Thank you, Terry.
Skin Quando, it could be you. Get a hold of me.
Gary Allen's another one we should try to get on, even if he's got his camera off.
However
If you
they're
ain't gone,
comfortable.
Terry.
We can pre-record them. We can record them on camera.
Mark
We can record them without a camera,
Mark
and
Green
so on
lives
and
next
so
to
on.
Terry.
Gosh. All right. Anyway,
That's over in Alabama.
good night, Jeff.
Good night, Jerry.
He's on.
Night footers.
Yeah, night footers. Hey,
Night footers.
we'll see you next Tuesday, and we appreciate
Big
everybody.
love, everybody.
Big love. There you go. All right. See ya.